Okay, so it's July the 8th, Sunday. Thank you everyone for joining in. A warm namaste to all of you. Let's start with a short invocation for divine blessings, guidance and protection. To the Supreme God, Divine Father and Divine Mother, our spiritual teachers, sacred archangels, beings of light, descended crystalline guides, our I Am presence, and to all the great ones. We humbly invoke for divine guidance, divine love, illumination, divine oneness, abundance, peace, prosperity, spirituality, harmony, inner healing, divine help, and divine protection. We thank you in full faith. We call forth the ray of joy, visualizing a luminescent golden yellow light pouring down to your crown, into your entire body, filling your entire body, every atom of your being with bubbling energy of joy, pure joy. We ask this joy frequency to be amplified further, up, now, so it is. Take a moment to smile. Take a moment to just let go of everything that happened in the past, the near past, or the past way beyond. Just allowing the energy of joy to infuse you. Pure fun, pure joy, unconditional. And we thank the guides. We call for us the energy of Lord Buddha, our planetary logos, to align the group energy, to align the individual energy. Visualize the symbols of the flowers of life being anchored cylindrically around you, in the group, energetically, in your room, right now, preparing the space for meditation. And different ascended masters of the seven rays, Almoria, Kuthumi, Serapis Bey, Paul Divination, Hilarion, Sananda, Saint Germain and the Violet Ray Master, and are refining this field, arranging this beautiful symbol of the flower of life. No cause of worry or tension or blame or resentment can withstand in this field. We know that all these activations are just facilitators. The real work has to be done by you by focusing more and more on the positive of life. Deep breaths. We call for it for the mini discs of the flower of life to flow down to a chakra system, our 7 chakras, to align our bodies, to align our blood, to align our very physical bodies. Deep breaths. You might notice the frequencies being raised further and further as a symbol of the flower of life, of harmony, of peace, of universe, of the microcosm, of the macrocosm. Begin to reharmonize your fields. Soothing you, soothing your physical body, energy body, emotional body, mental body. Beautiful. We call forth a diamond violet flame from Saint Germain. Visualize a beautiful, soothing diamond violet flame to be anchored in your spine, beginning to radiate all around you from within and without. Breaking down any and all old patterns, old fear-based energies, mind system that's no longer serving you, that you might have impregnated through past lives, different dimensions, ancestors, the womb, allowing it all to be dissolved and broken down into dust particles, all to be flushed down through your root chakra, the base of the spine, into the earth, the core of the earth, which contains divine mother love frequency. Beautiful. Surrendering it all to the earth, all the heavy energies, negative implants, elementals, thought forms, curses. Deep, deep breaths. Self-blame patterns, patterns of looking at oneself with weakness, with pity, fear of power, fear of success, fear of failure, allowing it all to be dissolved to the core of the earth, into the blessed fire of earth. Lady Nada steps forth and anchors the beautiful Star of David at your forehead, further filling your energy field with expansion, with grace, balancing the yin-yang, balancing the upper and lower bodies, aligning you for today's session, making yourself feel more and more centered, more and more aligned. It's a good time to ask your I Am Presence, what do you want me to know? And be aware of the thoughts, images, or the feelings that come to you. Taking deep breaths. I am presence. What are the changes that you would like to see me make? Being still, being aware. We call forth for a descended golden wiring from Lord Melchizedek. As Lord Melchizedek steps forth and touches the crown center, the spiritual current is spiraling down to your spine, covering the entire spine with the most beautiful golden luminescent crystalline light that is to be anchored only for this session. It's a high frequency energy field that expands your ability, your mental body ability, your emotional body ability, your etheric body ability, your physical brain activity to digest the very abstract knowledge that will be channeled for today. Visualize roots of light going down to the earth, connecting you with the earth, becoming aware of your room, becoming aware of your body, and at your own pace you may open your eyes. We usually don't perform such deep clearings right before the lecture, because even during the lecture there is this thing known as energy transmission. People do experience energy transmission. So welcome everyone once again to our event invoking a downpour of grace. What is grace? Let's start with that. What is grace? Grace is something that cannot be defined. Grace is something which people usually connect it with the Divine Mother frequency, softness, but it is the grace which allows the power, the different forces of Mother Nature, of the inner planes, to run harmoniously with each other. How many of you are managers here? How many of you manage some kind of work, you manage sales, you manage a staff? How many of you? Or even housewives who has to manage the home, a lot of chores. How many of you? Just a few of you? Okay. And so to these people I will ask you, don't you feel sometimes overwhelmed with the management work going around? Do you feel overwhelmed sometimes? Right? It's like, oh my gosh, I simply cannot arrange for my hobby. I simply cannot arrange for my my life purpose. That's one of the reasons why many of the beautiful, wonderful souls, or especially housewives, they totally offer their entire lives to the children, to their husbands. It's not to blame anyone, but simply telling you that at a human level, we can manage things at a certain extent, right? So take a moment to think about this earth, the various cycles of the earth, the sun and the moon, the day and the night. There's a flow, there is a management going around in Mother Nature. There are seasons, one season after the next. There are cycles in astrology, there are cycles of the planets. If as humans we do feel sometimes overwhelmed, of course we do get our help, from our friends or family members, but if we can experience that overwhelmment, what about this universe? How does it works? What about, take a moment to think about the consciousness that keeps creating many, many universes, that keeps so-called dissolving or destroying many, many universes, many, many beings, many, many civilizations. Civilizations will come and go, technology will come and go, governments would come and go, systems would come and go, philosophies would come and go. But to all of that, there is a certain force which allows their manifestation without any judgment. And this source is known as the matrix of Divine Mother. As you're aware, our online Lightworkers Oasis group is not related to a typical religion. It's a non-denominational group. So if you think about Divine Mother qualities, what can it be? It could be grace, nurturing, patience, perhaps tolerance, love, forgiveness, grounding, right? So this grace, you can say that this grace is the matrix, is the very technology. Grace is the very technology through which God's work, God supplies its love, God expresses His love. How many of you have heard about this term known as miracle? Usually people allude this word miracle to healing, or any kind of unexpected breakthrough from a certain stuck situation, right? Miracle. Grace is not something that's all about miracle. Of course, you can channel grace, you can attune to this frequency by refining consciousness more and more, smoothing your life, you can say. Grace is also the technology that loves you so much, so passionately, so unconditionally, that it allows your breathing force to run through your system 24/7, 365. It allows the system to have a certain management. And the moment we invoke more and more of this grace into our bodies, we experience more and more harmony and health in our physical bodies, gradually resulting in healing. In the same manner, when we allow this grace to flow more and more through our minds, through our emotions, through our very careers, you will notice everything begin to smoothen. You will reach the zone that's known as the zone of the delta wave brainwave frequency. It is a zone of the masters, of the so-called miracle makers, beings which we all respect, the Blessed Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Guru Nanak, right, Adi Shankaracharya, and so many more great masters of our times, who have been fulfilled, who have been embraced by this flow of grace so much that all of the needs were met, all of their needs, intellectual, mental, spiritual, to the point where they started to overflow. And when this overflowing started, they started to become channel or transformers of this energy into lives of many people, and the teachings are still impacting the lives of many. Of course, how the teachings were interpreted, it all depends upon the followers, right? But they're still revered, they're still held in high esteem. So that's a bit about grace. And in fact, it's not at all possible to tell about grace. You can say grace is an aspect of Divine Mother, or a technology of God, through which it pipelines, it connects everyone, everything around you with pure love. And in today's session, we're going to experience those frequencies. We're going to channel those frequencies, call upon those frequencies for ourselves, our lives, and of course, for the planet and its blessed inhabitants as well. It's more about experiencing it. How many times in life you have felt so wonderful that words were not enough? Maybe you had tears, maybe you just smiled, but words simply failed to express what you're feeling. How many of you? Right? Words are just means of communication. They are not the communication. The actual communication happens through Divine One within to Divine One within to another person. From energy transmission, that's the actual communication. You are communicating every single moment. You are communicating. Your body is communicating with each other. Imagine if for a while your kidney says, I really don't like those intestines. They have all this mess inside them. What will happen? Imagine your brain saying, I'm too refined, I'm too high, held up in the status, and I really don't like those excretory organs, the skin, the sweat, I just hate it. What will happen? A conflict will arise. A so-called disharmony will arise. That's just one of the ways looking at how communication works. You communicate not only in terms of your bodies, but also in terms of your energy. You meet a person, they share about a certain problem with you, you feel a bit heavy. That's communication. You meet a person, you come to a wonderful New Age meeting, and even starting of the session, even in this transmission of words, where only one speaker is speaking to you, you still feel those energies of harmony, of love. That's communication. Right now, every one of us, there are 23 people online, alive with us, and of course many would be listening through our offline call as well. There is a connection. There is a connection which moves beyond time, which moves beyond space. Yes, today's words seem very abstract, very unclear, and that's one of the reasons we perform the activation with all of you. So just take a moment to understand whatever I'm channeling right now through your right brain, rather than trying to get all of it. And of course, we are recording it as well, so you can listen to this at your own pace. Okay? And then this grace, it moves beyond time. It moves beyond time. It doesn't care what you've done before. It only knows that you are a God in form, you are a child of God, and thus you deserve the best of life in every field, in every way. Okay? So it doesn't matter, this 2012 frequency, it's pretty moving, it's pretty fast, it's rapidly growing, right? How many of you are becoming aware that all belief systems are now coming up to you, and you can kind of, look them into the face and wonder what to do next? Or, you're just experiencing a lot of thoughts, a lot of things starting to move in your life. Maybe you begin to ask, question about your own life, why you're here. Maybe you had a wonderful career and now you're wondering where to move next. Maybe you're just wondering about your partner. Maybe you're wondering about the connection with yourself, or about your own diet, the kind of food you put into your bodies. How many of you experiencing that? Right, a lot of you. That's just the energy of 2012. But remember, although it feels a bit overwhelming, as the old patterns, as the old lessons might come up again, asking you to integrate it more and more deeply, when you tune into the field of grace, everything comes into the space of stillness. Your I Am presence, your God self, is beyond 2012. It's beyond 4024. Of course, the planetary energies, the new awakening, it's shifting a lot of economic systems, a lot of political systems, a lot of education system, media systems. It's all doing its job. Your bodies will still get affected by it. But the point is, the moment you begin to call upon grace in your own life, what happens? You start to experience that stillness, that calm stillness of the waters, that joy, being calm, being who you are, right? And then let's talk a bit about Venus transit, because Venus is also revered as one of the aspects of Divine Mother. Venus, you might have heard about Venus, that in Roman mythology they treat Venus as a goddess of love, someone who is the patron of love, of moods, of emotional body. Okay, and then last month we had this Venus transit going on, and many of us experience emotional roller coaster rides a bit, even in our relationships with our so-called closed ones, our loved ones who are pretty close to us. How many of you experienced that during that Venus transit last month? Oh, sudden show of hands. Cool. Even I was wondering, it's not going to affect me, but yes, it did affect me as well. So, maybe one day we have a different webinar about Venus. As you're aware, my topics are really multidimensional. It's wide an approach, and I do my best to keep it laser focused to the topic of the event session. So the Venus transit, what was it all about? Was it all about getting that old Ross outre system? Was it all about crying and releasing? Or was it all about conflict? What was it all about? When I was in my holidays, I was in this hilly place, and in this place I had this beautiful garden, a short-heighted spring, an artificial spring, a waterfall. And then, as I was going through those so-called ups and downs, and why is it happening to me? I'm not supposed to experience this. I saw the beautiful water sprites, the nature angels, the nature devas, which manipulate, which control the elements of water. Okay. And then I was wondering, I think I shouldn't be dealing with them because they are nature angels. They just have to do with water, and perhaps they don't know much about the nuisances of human life. And here I was, looking at them. They were all playing around. And these water nymphs, what they did is, they asked me if I would like to connect with their queen water nymph. They have a kind of hierarchy going on. And I said, okay, sure, why not? I'm already feeling a bit distressed. Of course, in the beginning I said no, a big no. But later on I said, okay, it's better than, just eating your own thoughts, eating your own emotion, and feeling horrible once again. So I said yes. And this queen water nymph came up to me and she says, I'm the guardian of this pool. I'm the guardian of this pool. I seek not to be worshipped by my elementals, or by my assistants, you can say. And she told me that her task is not only to guard the elements of water in different areas, but it's also about teaching humanity about the value of emotions. I was like, it makes sense, the Venus transit and the water nymph talking about emotions. How many of you heard this term sometimes? Let your emotions flow, or your emotions, form crests and troughs like waves of the ocean. And how many of you are aware that every time there's a full moon, you do experience an intense emotional activity going on? How many of you ever noted that? Men and women, both of you, not only related with women, right? So I was literally, you can say I was on my knees, mentally. And then I said, okay, please share, go ahead. And she shared with me, I contain, this was the script. She said, I contain the very secrets of nature, if humans want to learn. And so does the other in charge of the different elementals, of the different elemental kingdom of the earth, the air, and the fire. And then she went on to say that this Venus transit is about an upgrade of your emotional bodies. It's about the upgrade of your emotional body to the next level. And I said, how? And she said, it's about unconditional love. And I said, well, I keep hearing that. There's nothing new with that. But how this transit is new? She shared that this transit is about letting go of those old contract patterns, of those old belief patterns, even at the subconscious level, which makes you expect to get love from someone. Remember that you are the master of love. Remember that you are the master of your life. But every time you human souls choose the physical human incarnation, you have to exchange love. You have to exchange communication. You have to exchange frequencies. And I said, yes, it totally makes sense. It does talks a lot about the so-called ups and downs of the human life. And then she said, this transit is about unconditional love, not only to others, but also toward yourself as well. I repeat her statement. That was the essence of our talk. It was like a 10-minute talk. I discussed some private matters as well. So she shared that this Venus transit is not only about the unconditional love toward others, but it's also about the unconditional love toward self. And she said, so take a moment to ask yourself, how can I express the unconditional love toward myself? Where am I blocking? Why am I blocking this unconditional love toward myself? Is it the way I have to be in a certain relationship, with money, with people, with my job? Or is it with the way I look? Or is it with the way I weight? SWEIGHT, it's body weight. What's all about? And after that, we said farewell, and for 15 to 20 minutes I kept thinking about it. And I would like you to think about it after session ends, about how to express unconditional love toward yourself as well. So that was a very short but very empowering message from this Queen Water Nymph, who is also connected a lot with emotions and, of course, the planet Venus. Okay, so I hope this short sharing, this short conversation will help you in understanding what's going on. Let's now move into meditation, where we would be using sonic and light frequencies to clear out frequencies and work with the healing of the energy matrix of our blessed planet. And then with our collective calling, with our collective yes, we will be invoking this downpour of grace, of unconditional love, to be expressed more and more into the soil, into the water, into the very air of the earth. And at the end, we will be anchoring some ascended crystals in different directions of the earth, perhaps different countries if guided, and moving ahead with those different crystalline frequencies for our spiritual brothers and sisters. By doing this together, you are doing a great spiritual service work. And as they say, it is in giving that you receive. How many of you have ever visited a shop? How many of you ever visited a shop? Ever bought anything in your life? A grocery store, a car showroom, clothes, wardrobe, right? So what do? You give out the money. Money is a very physical energy. Money is a very, very physical energy. It contains a lot. It contains a lot of your emotional energy, a lot of your mental energy. It's a densification. Kabbalah says that if you are able to manage the energy of money wisely, you can experience rapid spiritual evolution. Thought to think about. And right now my guys recently showed me that we'd be working with a world map in the end. We'd be anchoring some frequencies in the different oceans and different continents. It's going to be a very powerful meditation. So any one of you is joining us for the first time, please know that it's okay to experience different warm or cold frequencies, a bit of pain in the beginning, and then it gradually fades off. That's totally okay. This is the frequencies working with you. The effect of the session might last long till even, till 8 to 10 days ahead. It's like a tuning fork. So that's the reason we always say that if you want to attend the Oasis events regularly, please practice the luscious lifestyle program. It's extremely important. Otherwise, you might end up having a so-called mutation syndrome. Mutation is nothing but the modification of your DNA, right? And every time you bring in more light into your DNA, it starts to release old stuff, not only from this lifetime, but many lifetimes. It starts to release a lot of stuff. A detox starts to happen. So when you consciously work to harmonize yourself with the luscious lifestyle program, with the field of grace, you literally allow yourself to move on a more rapid note. You can think in your mind about a dolphin pod flowing ahead, up and down through the ocean, without any resistance. So if you want to be like that, if you want to experience a joy in a spiritual journey that actually never ends, it's all about unfolding your I Am Presence more and more and more and more. It's highly recommended that you practice the Luscious Lifestyle program. I'll be sending out the link after the class. So let us start with our session. I would have loved to take queries, but it's so not possible in this time frame. Thank you very much for understanding. And as to say, to above all else, to thine own self be true. Tuning into your I Am Presence for any kind of questions, tuning into the universe directly to your guides, about the messages, about the different scenes, okay? And in case anyone of you send me a private message, I shall respond to that as soon as possible. Thank you so much for understanding and patience. Let us move ahead by lying down perhaps. How many of you are appearing as a single name and you're more than one person? Let me know by the show of hands. I will set the grids. Okie dokie. I'm going to use the music from the royalty-free meditationmusic.com. Till then, allowing yourself to get very comfortable. I'm going to use the frequency of the ecstasy of being. That's 1411 bit rate. Giving you a moment, just a minute, to lie down, relax. If during the session you fall asleep, that's okay, because subconscious is always active and you will receive the healing. Taking a moment to get very comfortable. You may even sit, or you may lie down. That's all your choice. Let us begin by tuning into the frequencies of this instrumental song that's going on right now, feeling this frequency in your heart, in your mind, in your body. Call upon the angels of grace, legions and legions of the angels of grace, to start downpouring light and unconditional love into our homes, our cities, our entire planet Earth. Visualizing the entire planet Earth being surrounded by millions and millions of legions of angels of grace, simply downpouring love, love, and love. Taking a moment to feel this light, this graceful light in your body, becoming aware of your body like an empty sponge, or perhaps like an empty bottle of glass, filling yourself with this abundant, infinite energy of this love, of grace. That's cocooning you, your family members, the people you know of, your friends, every single person, every single animal, plant and mineral on this planet. just shower of grace. Visualizing this light going down deep into the vents of the earth, into the very undercore of the earth, different mineral veins, the different soils traveling like gold and diamond white light, just flowing down into the earth, into the very roots of the plants, of the trees, into the different water bodies. With our collective calling, we have opened up a huge portal of grace. Thank you. Just take a moment to feel it. Allow it to flood into the planet. Feel this energy of pure love and light just swirling into your hands, into your legs, into your body, cocooning you all around, swirling up and down. Every beam is conscious. It knows what to do, where to go and what to do. Just be open, be receptive. Allowing those self-harmonizing frequencies to repattern your physical body, your etheric bodies, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. During the session, if you experience old images, memories coming up, that's okay. That's just part of the process. Don't fight with it. Your yes is important in the process. Visualizing this grace light pouring down into the very core of the earth, converging with the lights going down to the core of the earth beginning to shine with the brightest star that you can ever imagine of. It's all radiating. The center of the earth is radiating pure grace light, pure energy of grace, of divine intervention. The energy of grace moves beyond the law of karma, it moves beyond the law of cycles. The energy of grace is all about bringing down divinity right here, right now. Beautiful. Take a moment to feel this earth star, the very core of the earth. Feeling yourself like pure balls of light together in the meditation, in the group, being magnetized down into the huge star, down into the very core of the earth, coming together, and in the center of the star there is this golden Christed I am God frequency. The very core is like the flame of the candle that burns but fadeth not away. And as souls that we are, light which we are, we come together into the very core of the star, inside this huge flame. Taking a moment to experience this pure God love frequency, this frequency of pure non-judgment, pure alliance, warm light, soothing and amazingly powerful. pure source transmission. Feeling it opening up your heart centers, freeing your muscles, relaxing you further and further, connecting you all with that I am consciousness that's one but manifests as many. Once again, let us now take a moment to come back up to earth like balls of light, golden white balls of light, containing light and information, key code for life purpose, the secrets of the densification of the spirit and the rarefication of matter, all stored one by one in your subconscious. Let us now call forth the dolphin guides. Take a moment to visualize the planet Earth with the sacred star at the center, surrounded by the beautiful ocean of pure indigo light, pure indigo energy of our Paladian brothers and sisters, the blessed planet emanating this most sacred, most ethereal light, attuning its frequencies with that of the Paladian masters, our elder brothers and sisters. Call forth trillions and trillions of dolphin guides to surround the entire earth and this ring of the beautiful indigo light, as if the planet Earth is surrounded by this ring of the golden indigo energy. Beautiful. Let us now call forth the God Crystal, which is like a column, which is like a laser crystal of light, to be anchored into the very core of the earth. Very gently visualize a huge laser crystalline energy and a scented crystal being anchored into the very core of the earth, which also contains the pure source frequency, as we just experienced. Your consciousness can now, in this state, expand back and forth as you perform the divine engineering work to heal the very matrix of our blessed planet. Take a moment to repeat after me. All is in divine order. All is grace. Grace is all. And as the God crystal light is anchored, you once again become aware of this ring of this indigo golden light, beginning to emanate light, converging light into one pointed center of this God crystal. One pointed center. The merger of Shiva and Shakti, the merger of spirit and matter, the merger of pure God light. And as this ring begins to charge the very tip of this light, which is also drawing its energy from the very center, the very core of the earth, we experience a pure illumination a pure illumination of the purest gold and white light emanating out, going into the entire planet. As if a candle has been lit, we call forth on humanity's behalf for the permanent anchoring of this grid. We ask this grid to work to different dimensions of time for planet Earth. Let this light move into Lemuria. Let this light move into Atlantis. Let this light come to the now. Let this light guide the future generations, the future timelines in all directions of time and space. Pure merger. Take a moment to look into the base of this God crystal and feel it beginning to draw crystalline roots of light into the different corners of the earth, different continents and oceans. The Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Arctic Ocean, the Southern Ocean, the Arctic, the Antarctica, the Indian Ocean, the North America, the South America, the Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa. Allowing this crystalline tree that has been created with your calling visualize these roots going upwards into the very land, into the very lands of these oceans, into the very lands of these continents, beginning to create, open a portal of pure love frequency, of pure power frequency. In your mind's eye, take a moment to visualize the world map, beginning to shine with the most beautiful indigo, golden, pink light. Visualize these lights becoming bigger and bigger. Anchor into the very heart of these lands. Visualize these like grid points being connected together. Visualize the planet Earth spinning faster and faster. Take a moment to see the blessed light work of this God crystal, of the ring around the earth, of the sacred portal connection. Such sacred engineering, we call upon the angels of creation, we call upon the Elohim masters, we call upon the nature devas, the trillions and trillions of the nature devas, to help connect this grid. Your own awareness, your own consciousness is helping with the connection. Helping with the connection. That ultimately it's all one. It's not separate. As these grids connect with each other, the people, the animals and the plants of these lands will begin to exchange information on a much more vaster level. Visualizing these cords of light, these networks of light becoming wider and wider, wider and wider. You begin to experience openness in your throat center and your heart center, as you yourself right here, right now are getting affected by the sacred convergence of light. Convergence with our Christ and ET brothers and sisters, convergence with the earth and the ocean, convergence with pure source energy. And as these poles connect with each other, we know that it is going to affect the entire population. It is going to help dissolve prejudices regarding culture, beliefs. It is going to bring the entire planet in harmony. Help the entire planet to expand with love. beautiful. We call forth for the anchoring of the golden ascended Gaia into the Mother Earth. Visualize a beautiful golden ball of light coming down through this laser crystal, down to the column and going down to the very tip, expanding its network, expanding the flower of life into the entire earth, harmonizing the grids of the earth, the meridians of the earth, the chakras of the earth. Grace. Notice how it's totally connected with pure God frequency. That Mother Earth has lightened up as networks of light has been created. Meridians of light has been created. Ascended Earth. We welcome the ascended Earth. We welcome the ascended human race. We welcome the ascended human race. So it is, so it is, so it is. Take a moment to feel this realignment in your heart, in your own meridians. Some of you might already start to experience a sweet nectar falling down through your palate. That's just one of the signs. As these meridians are being realigned, take a moment to chant with me the sound of and as we anchor these sacred sounds, the Earth's new grid has been anchored. The entire planet shining with the golden light of grace. Today we have worked on enhancing the Antakarana of the planet Earth. Let us now call forth the 7 great rays. One by one, the ray of power, love and wisdom, harmony and understanding, economics, arts, concrete science, esoteric science, religion, which connects with every individual's I am. Take a moment to see the very downpour of these great spiritual beings which embody the 7 rays themselves. The Masters say these 7 great beings reside very near to the throne of God. They are not the 7 ray masters. The 7 ray masters work like mini outposts of these rays. It is the literal downflow of these 7 great ray energies moving down to the earth, filling the planet with colors. harmonizing, washing over the entire planet with colors in your own body, in your own mind and emotions, in your very soul, purifying your soul, purifying your emotions, purifying the mind. Purifying. Balancing the expressions of the 7 rays. It is safe for you to be powerful. It is safe for you to love and to be loved. It is safe for you to use your wisdom. It is safe for you to find that harmony within and around. It is safe for you to work with technology. It is safe for you to work with different religions. It is safe for you to awaken the magic within. Becoming aware of the 7 chakras, the crown, the 3rd eye, in the middle of the eyebrow of the throat, the Adam's apple area, the heart, middle of the chest, the solar plexus, the soft spot between the last ribs, the sacral chakra, right below the belly button, and the root chakra at the base of the spine, visualizing these 7 rays expression of the 7 chakras, anchored like Vibgyo stars. You are now seeing your chakra system like stars of light, like the very expression of the cross, the horizontal and the vertical alignment of who you are, knowing that the source is your source. The chakras are going through extremely powerful clearing of different timelines, of different dimensions, of different belief systems. And all the grayish matter, all the brownish matter is all being released out through your aura, all to be absorbed and transformed by the golden God crystal that we have anchored today. We call forth our deceased loved ones. We call forth our ancestors who are ready for the clearing of today. So it is. Your auras, your mind, your emotions, your bodies have been super cleansed. Your body has literally become crystalline, and so is the planet Earth. Take a moment to touch your heart center with your dominant hand, the hand with which you work most often. Take another hand, the non-dominant hand, to touch your forehead. Mind and heart, heart and mind. Thinking with your heart, feeling with your mind. All is one. We call forth for the energy of the Great Spirit. You may like to visualize the Great Spirit as a huge dove of pure diamond white light, beginning to soar around the planet Earth. I'm going to channel her sonic frequencies. Take a moment to just become aware of the celebration, to become aware of the celebration of you, the celebration of now. As the Great Spirit swirls around the planet, sealing the entire work in the light and the design of the flower of life, the very pattern of creation. We call forth the symbol of infinity. Visualize the symbol of infinity like the DNAs, rejoining each other from both ends. Visualizing a huge symbol of infinity, anchoring vertically into the planet, anchoring horizontally into the planet, entering angularly into the planet, the right and left, calling upon the same symbol of infinity, the same bunch of infinity into your very core. Allow it to move clockwise or anti-clockwise and whirl like a fan, clockwise or anti-clockwise, however you are guided. This transmission is meant to help you integrate today's multidimensional cosmic experience of your I Am consciousness. Deep breaths. Grace is the key. And here we are, in the sacred heaven on earth, the sacred heaven on earth. Take a moment to feel through your mind's eye the golden light particles being emanated from every tree. The blueprints of new minerals are being anchored into the core of earth. The blueprints of the new ideas, new technologies, new communities, harmonized communities, which are being anchored into the very energetic template of the earth. Your own body is a typical representation of the golden luminescent crystal. And we give great thanks to the guides, great thanks to the nature angels, Turning back into the room, bringing a consciousness like a whirlpool of golden light down to the crown, into your very root chakra. Coming to your body now, so it is. I embrace my body. I embrace my ground. I embrace my body. I embrace my arts. I embrace me. Grace embrace me. I embrace grace. Noticing how your breathing rhythm has gone deeper and deeper. Your heart rhythm gone deeper and deeper. Feelings of satisfaction already running through your beingness. Knowing that the moment you open your eyes, you would be seeing a totally different, new earth in terms of energy. The physical will take time. The faster you follow your life purpose, the faster you ascend. This blueprint which we have anchored today, it will manifest faster and faster. Every person is a part of this grid. Feeling ourselves so grounded into the earth, feeling a diamond white light going to the root chakra, going through the feet, these 3 roots of light into the earth, down, anchoring you further with the new body which you have created in this session. To the Supreme God, Divine Father and Divine Mother, spiritual teachers, sacred archangels, Elohim masters, crystalline guides, the manifestations of the 7 great ray beings, the 7 ray masters, to all the great ones, thank you for your priceless blessings. We thank you. Becoming aware of your heartbeat. Becoming aware of the heartbeat of Gaia at your feet. A harmony has been restored, which will manifest as harmony in the different systems, harmony in the different seasons. The earth will still have to go through the detox. Remember that you cannot interfere someone's free will. It's best to shine your own light. It's best to follow your own lessons. It's best to follow your own bliss. Eyes wide awake and open. Eyes wide awake and open. Noticing the expansion that has happened in your very room. As your own room looks way expanded, the different objects looks much more clearer. In this expanded state of awareness, taking a moment to become aware of your breath, gradually moving your fingers, your toes, having a stretch. Thank you everyone for joining in. This was a very powerful meditation to invoke this downpour of grace and allow you to experience your multidimensional reality. This is Narmada Akshat Pratap on behalf of Inner Light Heals. The recording stops now.